when we call your name, if you had signed up for the second comment period, it did not relate to the transportation improvement, tell me, and I'll call you later. First is Mr. Mike Russell. If you'll go to the podium as he is and state your name and address.
Good evening. My name is Mike Russell. I live at Glassfield Drive in Huntersville. My wife and I have lived there for 16 years. I'm a decorated Navy veteran. I currently serve as the Chief Operating Officer for Mad Vapes Incorporated. We are a $30 million e-cigarette company headquartered in Mooresville. Within the I-77 corridor, I have 5 locations, 3 retail stores, a distribution center, and a manufacturing facility. I employ over 100 people at those 5 facilities. Most of them are hourly employees making between $10 and $17 an hour, along with benefits. Most of these folks live in Charlotte and use I-77 to commute to one of my facilities on a daily basis. Using the tolls has been advertised as a choice. Well, these employees don't have that choice because it will be an unfair and undue financial burden on them, a truly regressive tax. I mentioned that we have a distribution center. We support over 4,000 customers across the United States from our distribution facility and our manufacturing facility. Last year, we spent over $650,000 with FedEx, making us one of the top 5 customers in the greater Charlotte area for FedEx. Transportation time and time to market is crucial in my business. Truck traffic on 77 continues to increase yearly. Tolls will not positively impact my transit time from the intermodal facility at Charlotte Douglas Airport or any of the trucks that come in bringing my product in from overseas. I respectfully request that you look at putting widening of I-77 using general purpose lanes into the tip to be school. Thank you.
My name is Ray Wallace. I'm the Vice President of Brand Management for my family's business, Rusty Wallace Incorporated, based in Mooresville. I know we're really limited on time, so I'll be brief. The motorsports industry generates up to $6 billion annually and nearly 25,000 jobs in the North Carolina economy. As you know, a large portion of the industry is based along the I-77 corridor, and members of the industry have serious and immediate concerns about the I-77 toll lanes project. For example, C-level leaders of many major motorsports employers in the area, such as Hendrick Motorsports, Michael Waltrip Racing, Joe Gibbs Racing, JR Motorsports, Roush Yates Engines, and Champion Tire and Wheel, have all signed petitions demanding either the immediate termination or delay of the I-77 toll lanes project. Heck, even when I talked to my father about this casually, he says he'd consider just leaving the Charlotte region rather than deal with the permanent congestion that the toll lanes could cause. And that's coming from a guy who holds the Order of the Longleaf Pine in North Carolina. So that says a lot. Now, I'm sure all of you know Humpy Wheeler, the famous past president of Charlotte Motor Speedway. He went on record in a local publication recently, stating that with the tremendous concentration of motorsports in the I-77 corridor, we must do something or some other area is going to steal it away. And if something is done to relieve this horrible congestion, we stand to eventually lose the entire motorsports industry along the corridor. He said, we must stop the current agreement no matter what it takes. And Humpy sent me a statement to read to you. He thinks we're all crazy. He thinks the toll lanes are ludicrous, and he thinks that we're silly for just asking for a couple of general purpose lanes. Paraphrasing, because we're short on time here, it's ludicrous to think this deal is going to work today in one of the fastest growing areas of the world. In all probability, the I-77 corridor needs to be 10 lanes wide from Rock Hill to Statesville, so the toll factor is kind of mute. The toll lanes project calls for a width that simply will not work with all the growth that is coming. The only answer, according to Humpy, is to scrap the plan, negotiate out with the contractors, and start over again. Then there's Ray Evernham, a real industry leader who won many NASCAR championships with Rick Hendrick and Jeff Gordon before becoming a team owner and a TV personality. I'm going to close with the statement that he sent me especially to read the script. He said, I'm in 100% support of the business owners and citizens opposing the I-77 tolling project. The project has been mismanaged miscommunicated, and is not in any way, shape, or form fair to the residents, taxpayers, and users of I-77. The team that negotiated this deal should be ashamed and held accountable. This is a project that could have been completed under much different terms. At a time when our country needs to stand together more than ever, how can we invest money with a foreign company that has such a questionable past? How can we stand by and say to those who cannot afford to use the toll lanes, their tax money will go towards this project and they will have to suffer through all the construction delays, but just because they can't afford to pay, they have less rights than those who can.
Mr. Welch, your 3 minutes left, please wrap up.
Okay. Two more sentences. The project should not represent a separation of classes. It should represent American ingenuity, working to find a way to make things fair and available to all people. It should also represent our leaders being responsible, accountable, and doing the right thing. Ray says to stop the finger pointing, look hard at the deal, and find a way. Thank you for your time.
Good evening. My name is Michelle Torres. I live at Hostel Drive in Huntersville. I know many of you do not represent the Lake Norman town, so to those of you elsewhere in the county, let me tell you how this will affect you. Millions of your tax dollars are being wasted to construct lanes that hardly anyone will use, to support expensive equipment and build bridges and overpasses that will only be used for the toll lanes. And when this project inevitably fails, millions more of your tax dollars will be thrown at a foreign corporation to reimburse them for lost profits. When 77 or any other of the surrounding main roads have to be widened at some point in the next 50 years, millions more of your money will be spent not only building those roads, but also paying Cintra for lost revenues. Take into account the scores of businesses who will leave to South Carolina because of less congestion and more incentives, followed by the residents who are employed by those businesses, and the tax burden in your town just got a whole lot bigger. Residents have faithfully paid the highest gas taxes in the state, helping to fund roads elsewhere, and now in our time of need, our elected officials are selling us out to the highest bidder. If that doesn't get you thinking, let me put this in perspective for you. According to Javier Tamargo of Cintra, rush hour tolls can be 40 cents per mile. Based on their own information, Department of Transportation and Cintra will have anyone living past exit 25 going to and from Charlotte paying a higher toll during rush hour than commuters in the third most expensive state in the United States, New York. Does that make sense to you all? How can this be considered a real choice to Mecklenburg County residents? For the majority of us who can't afford tolls, this is not a real choice, and we'll be sitting in the parking lot that's called 77, the general purpose lanes, while we watch our tax dollars be wasted on lanes that we can never afford to use. Department of Transportation and Governor McCrory have hung you all out to dry. They placed the blame square in your hands for approving this project. How can you justify to your citizens that their hard-earned money is going to Cintra, whose parent company and joint partner for this project, Ferrovio, have been brought up on corruption charges? Or to the Lewisburger Group, also listed on this project, who have been barred by the World Bank from doing business because of corrupt practices? How can you justify your constituents footing this bill, enormous bill, for your mistakes? This contract will destroy the economy in the Lake Norman region for the next 50 years. If you think there will be no trickle-down effects to your town, you are sorely mistaken. We pay taxes, we have businesses, we work in your cities, we spend money in your cities. We are all in this together, and we're asking for your help. Maybe going into this you did not have any options, but we have options now, and we need your help to utilize them. We're asking you tonight to step up and do the right thing. Thank you.
I grew up just 40 miles northwest of Charlotte, but I lived 23 years of my professional life in the New York City metropolitan area. I rode New Jersey transit trains for work and New York subway to get around the city. I've driven over and through just about every toll road, bridge, and tunnel from Boston to Philadelphia. After that experience, I'm baffled by Charlotte's pursuit of commuter rail and tolls. Does anyone here actually believe a contract that will prevent the expansion of North Mecklenburg transportation corridor for the next 50 years without compensating the foreign company is in the best interest of our region? I am baffled that such a contract was ever seriously considered, especially in light of failure of highway schemes across the country. A hot lane project in Indiana went bankrupt, leaving taxpayers holding the bag. A hot lane project in Texas left bondholders holding worthless paper. Virginia is willing to spend hundreds of millions to get out of their contracts. And hot lanes on I-85 in Atlanta resulted in greater congestion on neighboring streets. Polls show that well over 90% of the residents in North Mecklenburg don't want hot lanes, and hundreds of business owners have stated these hot lanes will negatively impact their business. One high priority item with the NCDOT and this body is the red line, which will cost more than widening I-77 with general purpose lanes, and is projected to only carry 5,600 commuters a day to the Johnson and Wells area of Charlotte. I-77 carries over 90,000 vehicles a day to destinations anywhere in the country. In addition to commerce, where are our priorities? We have been told the reason for the P3 hot lanes is the state didn't have any money. But somehow the state found $144 million to bribe municipalities into accepting the hot lane contract. We have been told if we cancel the contract, we will owe Centra $100 million, but the last I heard, we forgave Centra for more than $15 million to owe us for their breach of the contract. At least 2 local reporters lost their jobs shortly after they broadcast stories about political cronyism surrounding the I-77 hot lane issue. Emails obtained through the Freedom of Information Act uncovered attempts of town officials to meet with the NCDOT and Centra while taking extra precautions to ensure the public and press would not attend. One wonders how many more shoes will drop before this hot lane chapter in our history has been put to rest. Thank you very much.
Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity to come before you. My name is Dennis Billerdew, I am the president of Aquesta Insurance Services, and Aquesta has bank locations in Huntersville, Cornelius, Davidson, and 2 in Mooresville. Now, as we look at this plan, we believe it's bad for business. So when business in the lake area does well, Aquesta does well. So that's our concern, as it is with over 90% of individuals who return the Lake Norman Chamber survey. They also mentioned that they're very concerned. So I'm here tonight just to ask that you consider focusing on that area near the lake that has the congestion. Compress the efforts that you're doing, expanding, and look at exits 19 through 36. I think you'll find that's where most of the congestion is. So I'd ask you on behalf of businesses in the lake area to please cancel the contract, and also please consider looking at where the real congestion is. Thank you.
I appreciate the time tonight. I'm a native of Charlotte. I lived here, grew up on the south side of town before there was a 77, 85 or Lake Norman. I moved around a lot through my career. I've seen toll roads and toll roads and toll roads. I know that it doesn't make any sense to me. Why would rational leaders put a new taxation system in place when we consume large parts of the generated revenues in administrative costs? We have fuel tax, tag fees, vehicular sales tax, property tax on vehicles. Now we propose another tax in the name of user fees. Call it whatever you want, but make sure you might disclose when you say it. It doesn't make any sense to add another tax. You're our leaders. Figure out what you need and raise the taxes that we already have in place. Don't add additional taxes. I'd like to use the rest of my 3 minutes here to just talk a little bit about some of the points that HOT lanes are wrong for us. First of all, it's a non-solution. Even when you look through the NCDOT studies, they tell us that the round-trip tolls will move from $20 max up to $40 max round trip in 20 years. and the commute time could increase by 60 minutes a day. That's not relief for our congestion. It's bad for the environment, bad for efficiency, and bad for our quality of life. The whole scheme is unfair. While all other areas have been improved, the deficient 12-mile stretch of road in our area has not been improved since completion in 1972. It was on the books at one time to have improved and widened, but that got canceled, and now here we are looking at a toll scheme. Up to $5,000 a year would be required for a tax for people that are traveling round trip from Mooresville to Charlotte daily. And these are working class people. Their average is $53,000 a year in Mooresville as their annual income. They're supposed to spend 10% of their annual income on a toll. $13 billion that would be leaving the region would be very harmful to our economy and commerce in the area. We have to look at the people that we've contracted with. Ferroville, the parent of Centra, has a CEO and other executives that are awaiting prison time for convictions on corruption. Here we are making our deals with these types of people. Please help us get out of the contract like Virginia did. They spent $260 million and just recently announced to get out of their contract, a similar contract. Please look at
3 minutes up.
Thank you. Please look at a way to get us out of this contract. It's government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Thank you very much.
Tonight, I'd like to read a statement from another gentleman that wasn't able to make it tonight, Mr. Rob Kidwell from Huntersville. It says, Madam Chairwoman and Honorable CRTPO voting delegates, tonight you have an opportunity to shape the future of all our towns, not just a line on a map or something that may happen in 15 years, but the immediate future of how the municipalities will grow and develop. The draft tip contains several managed lane or toll projects that I would ask you to remove. You have heard from citizens of the community and business leaders of the community in one form of communication or another. They have undeniably said that they do not want these projects, especially the I-77 toll road through the Lake Norman area. There have been multiple resolutions from the towns and counties asking that the project be delayed or stopped, and our governor says it's up to you. So, it's up to you. Will you listen to the public whom you were elected to represent, or will you complacently look at the list, and when it's time to vote, simply raise your hand and say yea or nay, while seated, and move on as if it's no consequence to you? Tonight, I challenge each voting delegate in this room, when it's time to discuss this plan, stand tall, announce the position you were elected to or whom you represent, and own your own position. If you believe that this list with multiple toll projects will not harm our towns and you stand by them with steadfast conviction, then own your position and let the people whom you represent know unequivocally where you stand. Thank you for your time. Rob Kidwell, Huntersville. I'll add a few remarks after that. Following Mr. Kidwell's comments, I just want to point out the last meeting we were down here and had a discussion on this. The question was asked, how many of you would show up at the ribbon cutting for the hot lanes? And I think 2 hands went up from around the table. After all the meetings, the emails, the TV coverage, the newspaper articles, I'm assuming by now that most of you determined that this is far from being an optimal solution to provide infrastructure. And I hope, if given a choice, you would not vote for this choice again. Well, we have a choice now. We can continue down the path we're on, which has many unanswered questions and business people telling us it will not work, or we can choose to seek an alternative. We can find the actual amount of the cost to cancel this 50-year contract, which will be much less than the $100 million that's been bandied around. And we can put forward a project that will rank high enough on the STI to get funding, and we can expand I-77 with general purpose lanes that serve all citizens of Mecklenburg County and the state of North Carolina, not just the ones who can afford to use the toll road. It will allow us to improve our interstate in the future without having to pay a private company for that privilege, and it can be done for no more than North Carolina taxpayers have invested in these hot lanes. I also urge you to remove the I-77 Express Lane project from the tip and put forward the general purpose lane project that adds lanes between exit 19 and exit 36 on I-77. Thank you very much for your time and consideration in this serious matter.
Yes, I'm Jim Bauman. I live here in Charlotte, Old Pasture Lane. I'm a truck driver. So as a truck driver, I guess I want to start saying, as truckers, I can get a lot of money going up to like New York, New Jersey, and stuff where all these tolls are. It's hard to get any freight back out because most shipping companies know that adds literally $300 to one trip out, in a truck. So I just want to actually ask, am I allowed to ask, I know Governor McCrory stated, I believe, that this group, he didn't want to cancel the toll contract because this CRTPO voiced support for it. And I wanted to ask, am I allowed to ask what is this? Did you vote for it? And if so, was it a framed question? Like if you were to ask me, Jim, would you rather me punch you in the eye, or would you rather me punch you in the stomach? Maybe I'll say, yeah, I'd rather you punch me in the stomach because that's less damage to my body. Somebody could then say, well, Jim wants to be punched in the stomach. That's how I look at this toll road, and I'd really like to look at the way that question was framed. And I'd actually like to bet any one of you. I don't care about gambling laws. I'll bet anybody. I'd like to ask if any of you would like to bet me $1,000, we can go to Charlotte, Huntersville, Mooresville, anywhere in between along I-77, maybe like the Walmart or the Target right off exit 25 there. How about we bet $1,000 and we go to the first 10 people we see in any store. You pick, Starbucks, Target, Walmart. You give me 3 people out of 10 that want the toll road, I'll give you $1,000. This is the whole point. We, the people, don't want this. So who can we? I guess the NCDOT is the one that signed this contract. But how do we fire them? And who of them are in here that we all need to take outside and rough up? Seriously, this is. We may have to. This is just not. There's been studies showing that the top 1% of the world wealth earners are going to go from only 49% of it to 50% of it in the next decade. And when you look at this is like a payday loan deal you guys bought into, whoever signed for this or whoever agreed with it. We don't have the money to do it the right way now, so we'll just, $13 billion versus $200 million to do it ourselves is a payday loans type loan. It's terrible. So I just don't know. Let me see what else. I would vote for re-ranking, trying to ask that I-77 be re-ranked to widen it publicly. What else? Let's see. I want to see. Let's see. Oh yeah, I wanted to ask, when the NCDOT asked...
Please finish.
Okay, one last question. Did anybody look at, there's an organization called OPIS, Oil Price Information Service, where I can pay them money to ask all the local gas stations in this region how much fuel was dispensed at each fueling station. We could figure out how much taxes were generated in our area. Did any of you of our area get that information and say, hey, how do we know so much money is not being diverted from our area and spent somewhere else? Maybe if we kept that money that we supplied in our area, we'd have the money.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you too.
I'm befuddled by the whole situation here. I loved the gentleman that spoke before me because he has all the questions that were running around in our heads. Because everybody keeps telling us that you all have the cards in your hands. I'd like some of you to maybe drive up to the Lake Norman area and see what we're dealing with there. The last meeting I came to here, we were criticized for using 77 as our local road, but there's a big lake. And 77 is our only road. The only other way to go around is to go all the way to 16, which is quite a big detour. To go to a doctor appointment, I have to hit 77. It's not an option to go on 115. It's a parking lot. It's just ridiculous. I just want to ask that you all do your due diligence and stand up for those of us that live up there and get rid of this toll fiasco. This company, Citro, they're just thieves. If you look at their background and things they're doing now, it's just not right. I don't feel that our state should go down that path either. I want to be proud of North Carolina. I want to be proud of our area. This isn't the way to go. Please add a general purpose widening project into the TIP that you're going to be considering. Thank you.
I don't know what else there is left to say. It's getting quite ridiculous. Macquarie or CRTPO? Which one is it? Somebody's got to tell us. Because the way we're all going to look at it is it's Macquarie and CRTPO. Because that's what it seems like. And these toll roads on I-77, the reason they're such a big deal to you guys and those who, let's face it, there's some people that stand to gain from this. There are some people that stand to gain from these toll roads. Parsons Brinkerhoff, which is one of the companies that is involved in this all around the world, they have political PACs, see? And Rick Perry pretty much ran his entire presidential campaign on it last time around. That was a lot of money. And they donate a lot of money to these things. Remember Tom Tillis, this is just an example. The North Carolina Board of Governors, whenever he was questioned why he hired somebody from out of state, he said, well, that person raised $100,000 personally for me. We know what's going on. And when you take the widening project from north of Lake Norman and scrap that at the last meeting, correct? You're going to get rid of that. The only thing I'm thinking is, well, they're not really going to get rid of it. They're going to come back with a toll for it, because you're going to have a toll from 277 up to 36. Then you're going to have a toll a few years later from 277 all the way down to South Carolina. Then that one's going to connect to 485. And then you're going to have the 277 that comes in and around Charlotte. That might not be a toll. I think that you guys might lay off that. It would be kind of hard. But you are going to toll Independence. We know that's going to come. And then eventually, come on, it's going to be all the way around. All the way around. All the way around the toll. And it's going to be really expensive. It's going to be really intrusive into our personal lives. Bad for business. I mean, the business community is speaking up. Invite some of your pro-toll businesses to come down here and tell you how it's going to help with their truck traffic. You can't put the trucks in the tolls. So this is obviously really, really bad. I don't think these gentlemen are joking. I take them very serious when they say they might up and leave, head down to South Carolina where they've got roads and a lower gas tax. I really, really hope you guys will do the right thing, and if you don't, I really, really hope that everybody pays attention and remembers your names come election time. And I don't mean that to be disparaging. I mean that because if you can't fix it, we got to find somebody who can. Thank you.
Well, I'm here tonight to tell you that you can cancel a contract right now. You will not owe $100 million because it is totally and completely invalid due to all the disturbing lawsuits and convictions against Ferrovial, Cintra's parent company. This entire contract is based on a weak, corrupt foundation. Political bribes we have fraud, we have document falsification, and we have overbilling that has wasted tens of millions of taxpayer dollars. In addition, do you really want to do this, even if you like tolls, with the lead design firm, the Lewis Berger Group based in New Jersey? Let me tell you, this firm is an international disgrace. It has defrauded U.S. taxpayers out of millions of dollars and has put our military in harm's way in Afghanistan. On November 5th, 2010, Lewis Berger agreed to pay one of the largest fines of any war zone contractor, $69.3 million. And in an article in 2010, there was a problem. They described a certain Haitian whistleblower. His name was Harold Solomon, who was manipulated. In his first interview, Harold Solomon said he believed that this New Jersey firm hired him because he would be an easy prey as a poor Haitian immigrant. They also thought, these executives from Louis Berger, they calculated that he would not uncover their defrauding of the U.S. taxpayers tens of millions of dollars. And the article also noted that Sullivan was asked to lie and misrepresent financial data to the Pentagon's defense contract audit. After winning this whistleblower's case, he decided to take part of the settlement and start the American Haitian Association for Medical, Economical, and Educational Support. He founded this. This is a great foundation, but you're building these tolls on corruption, lies, deceits, and the waste of millions and millions of taxpayer dollars. The FBI has placed Louis Berger on their website twice, both in 2011 and in 2014. The FBI stated the CEO of Louis Berger Group pleaded guilty to conspiring to defraud the U.S. Agency for International Development with respect to billions of dollars in contracts over a nearly 20-year period of time. The U.S. Attorney Fishman went on to say, Dershowitz admitted today he enriched himself and his company with money intended for important reconstruction projects in Afghanistan. This type of conduct cheats the American taxpayers. And this dishonesty was not just one man. The press release said that between 1990 and 2009, LBG, Louis Berger, our #1 lead design firm, and all these other executives intentionally overbilled U.S. aid. The scheme was to defraud the government, and it was carried out numerous times by numerous LBG employees. This is our design firm. I mean, what the hell are we doing? What are we doing? I mean, this is fraudulent. I sent a letter to the Attorney General, and they could not refute anything that I said. This is also hitting the press in Raleigh. Everybody knows that we don't owe $100 million because there are too many lawsuits and convictions against this company. Even if you like toll, Sarah, this is all based on fraud.
North Carolina. I organized the I-77 business planning trip to Raleigh. Honestly, we were really received with open arms. Everyone that we talked to listened to us and was deeply concerned. Most of the issue was that they felt like this was a local issue and something they didn't want to stick their nose in it. If they get involved in it, then there could be some political repercussions. Their safe thing is to stay out of it. But let me tell you this. This is a problem that's slated to last for 50 years. Every business that we talk to is looking at, we plan for the future. This doesn't give us a good outlook. Every economic development person that I've come into contact with has expressed deep concerns. They haven't come out publicly a lot of times because they're not able to. But this is a big problem, and if we ignore it and let this continue, the problem is only going to get bigger and more expensive. We've done some financial analysis. We understand that the taxpayers are on the hook for around $212 million, not the $89 million that on paper says that this project actually cost us. And then if it fails, we're actually looking at about a $550 million charge, not the pennies on the dollar figures that we've heard from the NCPOT. And these are details in the contract that, it's the minimum amount of money that you're going to have to pay the bank to be able to get the assets. So, we're looking at, if we cancel it now, we're probably all scot-free. We're able to build general purpose lanes. Businesses have a positive outlook. We know that it's going to be a few years to build some stuff. That's okay. Feel free to ask any of the businessmen that are here. Feel free to ask around. That's actually the best possible solution that we could look for. We've even talked to Charlie Jeter. There's a chance for pennies for progress. Like the towns have the ability to generate the funding, pay for it up front, and then actually get bonus money on top of that. So that's all part of the STI bill. The money doesn't come from the state. The money comes from the towns. You still get bonus money. So we don't have to necessarily give the bonus money up or all of it. One thing that is also concerning is the existing I-77 projects that are in the tip that are being asked to be pulled out by the state. That pretty much shows clear intent of future tolling. And honestly, all the businesses that I come in contact with, that's not something they want.
3 minutes up, please wrap up. sir.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
I wear many hats. I own a farm in the northern part of Mecklenburg County in Huntersville. I also run a small business. It's called Old Shore Produce, right on the corner of Brownsville Road. Pretty much a family type farm. I'm also a commissioner in Huntersville, and I have a kind of a unique circumstance where people stop at produce, which is the general public. And I have found no one that is in support of these managed lanes. I've been an advocate against them, but I kind of have no real policy there to stand. Being the most accessible commissioner in Huntersville, people can stop by and voice their opinions and that. And I have never had anybody that supported this project. So I'm encouraging y'all to terminate the contract. This is like the perfect storm. The legislature gets to blame y'all. Y'all turn around and blame them. The governor puts it back on the local authorities. I think all 4 towns have voted a resolution in opposition of this. The 2 counties have voted resolutions in opposition of this. So it's clearly the public don't want it. And it's sure not a viable financial way to move forward. And what does it take to get through y'all's heads that people don't want it? It's a bad financial move. So I don't think I can add anything else to that. I hope y'all use a little bit of common sense and encourage you to terminate this contract and add from mile marker 19 to exit 36 to the new TIP. Thank you.
I was here 2 years ago in this room. I drove down from Mooresville on my own, didn't know anybody. I just knew this project was just not right, and I had to make a statement. And I was not allowed to speak. So tonight, thank you very much for allowing us to speak. Because Governor McCrory has been saying that, the CRTPO wants it. Well, the problem is that the CRTPO, when I was here 2 years ago, voted for this tolling project 2 days before McCrory's new STI law became a law. Therefore, this toll project was not allowed to be ranked. I'm asking for it to be defunded, to be null and void, but this area needs to be ranked. I mean, it's never been ranked. It's crazy. And now we're looking at 50 years of 1 lane. So tonight, I drove down, it was bottleneck all the way until exit 19, and it was wide open. The DOT says, you know what, you widen these lanes, they'll just fill up with cars. And then we go back to where we started. Well, every time I drive down and I get below 19, it's free-flowing. And I was able to easily make it here. It's amazing. So I'm just asking for it to be defunded, the contract to be just sign this off, just get rid of it. I just had a couple, and I'm just speaking off the cuff here, but I looked and I was watching Chuck made a tape I watched, and I saw the last time y'all were here, you were talking about the state defunding I-77 north up to 40, 115, that's what we were told. Well, you can use 115 and they can always widen it. Well, it's in the plan not to. So we will be in complete and absolute gridlock for 50 years. I will be dead and gone, but my kids will be, well, unless they move away, which who knows. But anyways, Ken Robertson, I don't know, you're gonna have a heck of a time trying to explain this to those that you represent. But Ms. Lyles, I don't know where you are.
Here I am, right here.
You have a big vote here, and you have something to think about, because you know what? There's going to be people from Charlotte going to be driving up, and they can't afford to toll lane, and they'll be driving up to Lake Norman to work. and it's gonna be tough. Or they'll have to pay, they can't afford it, they'll be in gridlock for 50 years. But your vote means a whole bunch. So I ask you for you to consider what Ken Robertson's gonna have to try to explain to those that he represents, and his vote doesn't count much. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right, so I've been in quite a few of these meetings over the last few months. And in all of these meetings, I've never encountered anybody who was standing in the corner with a pro-toll sign saying, yes, this is an amazing project. It's an amazing accomplishment. The only people that have said those words are politicians. The people don't want it, and I don't know what it's going to take to make that point. You know, if we speak up, then we're labeled as zealots or activists or troublemakers, and I am not of the sort. I don't want to be here any more than you want me here. I'm out of my comfort zone. I said the last time I was here, this issue is not going to go away. You're going to hear about it tomorrow. You're going to hear about it next week. You're going to hear about it next month until it is resolved, because you're not addressing the problem. And the problem is this contract. We all know what's wrong with it. We could go on for hours and revisit all of that. There really just isn't all that much good that is going for it. And at the end of the day, this isn't about a $5 toll. It's not about a $10 toll. It's about a $13 billion toll on our economy. And as representing a small business, you know, I have a vested interest in seeing this play out in a way that benefits businesses and keeps us in the area and keeps us strong and thriving and growing, because that will benefit Charlotte, that will benefit the surrounding communities. I don't think we're asking for anything that's unreasonable other than to be taken seriously and to be given the proper consideration. Thank you for your time. I hope that you guys will make a really good decision tonight, and I would love to rally around you if you do. Thank you.
And I think I'm the anomaly. I think in the last year and all the people I've talked to, I actually have met 2 people who are in favor of the tolls that don't work as either a politician or for the DOT. So they do exist for everybody else who's out there. The 2 people that I've talked to that have ever been in favor of it make a great deal of money. And they are quite in favor of the idea of jumping in a toll lane and buzzing past everyone else who can't afford to be in that toll lane. Now, if you were to talk numbers and percentages, that's probably 2 out of maybe 2,500 people I've talked to in the last year plus about this. I've done a lot of canvassing in Mooresville, and there's not a whole lot of support for this. That's not obvious. I'm a banker by trade, one of the banks here in town, and I'm a numbers person, so I thought maybe I'd just give you a couple examples that maybe would illustrate things a little bit. There's a lot of these hot lanes in existence now, a lot more than there were 10 years ago at least. And I thought I'd illustrate the top 3 revenue generators in the entire country. First one's SR91 in Orange County. Now, do you know LA? It's a little bigger than Charlotte. It pulls in $41 million a year in revenue. All right. Number 2, I-95 in Miami, usually considered quite a success actually. Pulls in $15 million a year. I-10 Houston, $8 million a year. Now, I love Charlotte. I've lived here for quite a while now. I lived in Charlotte originally, now I'm up in Mooresville. We are not LA, Miami, or Houston. The revenue that this project would need to pull in the first year of operation just to meet their costs is $34 million. That would be the 2nd largest revenue generating toll lane in the entire United States. We are nothing close to those cities. Now the second year would be $41 million, which means that puts us on par with LA just to meet their debt payments. Now, I don't see how anyone can look at me with a straight face and tell me how the residents of the Lake Norman area and Charlotte going north can afford to pay that. We don't have those kind of numbers. And as Matt already pointed out, the amount of money it would cost us to get back out of the contract is minuscule compared to what would go out of our area. And the amount we pay if this thing went under is incredibly high. It's over $500 million. If we're responsible, we're responsible for 80% of the debt if they walk away from this. Now, that doesn't sound so bad, right? 80% of it, that's $300 million out of our future budget. It's $300 million that has to come out of the Highway Trust Fund, that has to come off the top from all the rest of the projects. We are not going to come out ahead on this. There is no way for us to financially get through this project. Now, please, what we need is to get a project.
You're 3 minutes.
Thank you. Please add something to the P4, score it, and let's reconsider this. I appreciate it.
I was not planning on speaking today, but I just wanted to bring up at least one point that has been mentioned. There's a lot of excellent points, and in particular, like the comments from the gentleman, the truck driver, about taking that $1,000 bill. I know there's nobody in here to pay against it. I think there's a lot of great points that have been made. The numbers, we've gone through the numbers, it just doesn't make sense for the life of me. I cannot understand how this thing has gotten to this point. But one point that I would like to mention, and I saw it on an excellent presentation we had at Lake Norman earlier this year, and that is when you have merging lanes, there's a merging zone. So imagine you're in a high-speed lane, 60 miles an hour in the beginning, or somebody else is in there. And all of a sudden, they got to merge to get on 485. Well, they got to cross a parking lot. How do they get across those lanes that aren't moving? They've got to stop. They've got to go the same speed. So the merging zone just creates a backlog. Do you think that somebody that's in a gridlock is going to agree to just let some gentleman who's paid this toll step in front? Go ahead and merge right. You just don't have to. So I just don't understand even the logistics of some of these merging zones. It's just is not a solution. So I respectfully ask that this group reconsider and consider the general purpose lanes and having them rated.
A number of people have mentioned that it's hard to find anybody in support of these toll lanes, except politicians. And I also want to mention that it's hard to find a reasonable sales pitch from the people who do promote the toll lanes. They say things like that they offer us choices. Well, the choices sound good to somebody in Wilmington watching a TV news bite, but here the choice is either you're stuck in traffic in one or two other lanes, or you pay up to $20 round trip to drive in a other lane. Governor McCrory said one of our choices would be light rail someday, and I'd like to ask when that's going to be, because it's not a choice. I think a representative of the Charlotte Chamber mentioned that Highway 115 was also a choice. Well, it's a two-lane country road that's often backed up as well. So really the only choices are the bad choices we have now, or the bad choice of paying high tolls. So I find that very disingenuous. One of the other arguments that we hear is that two general purpose lanes will just fill right back up again. In the meantime, two toll lanes, they will not fill up again. The reason for that is because they charge high tolls for those. That will mean that the other lanes will remain constantly congested. If more cars decide to drive into those toll lanes, they'll jack the tolls up so that fewer people will choose to do that. So it really doesn't alleviate traffic at all. The net result is we're still going to have traffic problems, and two open lanes actually would allow much more traffic to flow over time than two congested lanes and two toll lanes. It's true that the two toll lanes will allow cars to travel faster, but you're just going to have more cars traveling slower in the other lanes. In fact, less than 10% of all cars will actually go into the toll lanes, which means 90% will remain in the two other lanes. And in 5 years from now, when traffic has increased 10% or more, those cars will also be in the crowded general purpose lanes. Another thing that was brought up was by Hager Tamargo in response to what will truckers do. And his response was, truckers will need to accommodate and drive perhaps at night. And I thought, who is this guy to come here from halfway around the world and tell our local businesses to drive at night? I mean, these are the people that run our economy. Most of America's commerce is done by truck. We need our trucking industry to flow smoothly, not be told they have to drive at night. You know, there's a number of other sales pitches that get used to promote these lanes, but almost all of them, in fact, every one of them, is nonsense. And some of the people here spewing that nonsense are here tonight. And I would love to see a debate between those people on television, between representatives of I-77 and the promoters of these toll roads.
3 minutes, please.
Thank you very much.